go in and edit that if you'd like to. So this is where you kind of start with. So this is the details. Then we're going to go to documents. So here's where you're going to add the documents that you needed to get signatures for. So I kind of look at this as my desktop or just a file folder of what I need to work with. And so the first ones that I'm going to add, I'm going to go over here and select add. So you can add from a whole bunch of different places. If you have it on your computer already that you want to go ahead and upload, you can do that. You can add it from your computer. If you're going to do the DocuSign forms, you can add it from there. I'll pick DocuSign forms just because this is also where you want to make sure that you have uploaded your information here. It might ask you for the NARDS information the first time you do this. So you'll want to make sure that you have access to those forms because it will give you the option for the Georgia Real Estate, the Georgia Association of Realtors. And then here I'll just put in buyer brokerage. Oops, my hands are cold. So the buyer brokerage agreement, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and add it. So I have it on my desktop, so I know I need to work with that one. So this one is actually going to be an interactive form. When it populates into your documents, you'll be able to tell by the blue logo here, this is not a PDF, it's an actual interactive form. So that's how you know that one's something that you can tab through and fill. Now I'm going to add the wire fraud and the affiliated marketing. And I'm going to do that just from my computer because I already have it in a folder and it's just easier to do it that way. In the wire fraud. And you can tell the difference. This is a PDF, this is a fillable interactive form. So that's how you can tell the difference. So let's start with the easier ones. We're going to select the wire fraud and we're going to select the affiliated marketing. So these are the two that we're going to work with, and these are the actions that we can do. We can copy these, we can move them, we can email them the way they are right now. If somebody wants to see them just plain, you can email it. You can combine them. DocuSign, which we're going to come back to, you can download it. You can move them out of your room and put them in archives, or you can unarchive, like if you have to go back and find something. So we're going to go ahead and do a DocuSign. So we've selected by putting a little check mark in each top left corner. We're going to DocuSign. So now that's going to create an envelope for us. So here's the envelope that we're going to send these two documents to our buyer to sign. And the first thing I would say is for your envelope name, go ahead and put in here the name of the documents that you're sending, because when you go back and you have several envelopes, you don't want to have to click through to see which one, you know, what is in that envelope. So I usually just put wire fraud and affiliated. That way I know what I'm looking for. If I forgot something and I want to go back and add, I can add something here. I can use the template so I can add it to the document.
Kim, would everybody please make sure that they're muted?
One's left-handed, one.
Okay. So we've got our two samples. We have the affiliated marketing and the wire fraud. Now we have to decide who we're going to send that to. So I select the room participants. And right now, Betsy Buyer is the only one that has to sign those two. But if it's something that you want to preview beforehand, before you send it to Betsy Buyer, you can also add yourself in. But I just select Betsy Buyer. So I'm going to add the selected. And then here's also where the order of information. If there's another recipient, you can choose the order, who gets it first, who gets it second. And you just simply change the numbers here. If you put in all ones, then everybody gets it at the same time.
Hey,
here's where you
Kim, there's
Yes.
a question that came up that said, why wouldn't you wait to send all 3 documents at one time instead of one at a time?
You would. The only reason I picked these two because they're easier and I don't have to fill in like so much information. I just want to show you. I'll go back and show you how you can add the buyer brokerage. I was just going to try to do a sample real quick because the buyer brokerage has more spots to fill in.
Okay.
I can go back afterwards and I can show you how you can do all of them together too. But yes.
That would be great. And can you also do me a favor? Can you slow down just a little bit?
I'd be more than happy to.
Thank you, because most of these people have never gone into, or very, very rarely. And so you're flying through, and I'm so
okay, no
Yeah.
problem. I don't want to bore anybody, but I don't want it to be too long either, or take your time. No
You're
problem.
doing awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to I did these two right now just to make it easy. So the next step here would just click the next button. So that takes you to the next piece that you want to do. And this is going to let you preview all the documents that you just selected. And I picked these two because they're pretty easy for the fill in the blanks. And it's only one person that we're having to deal with. So you have Betsy Buyer. She's got to do the affiliated marketing. And so we're just going to make her sign, click signature, and then put it where you want. We need the date. So click date, put it where you want. And these are both combined. So you go down to the wire fraud. Here's a little bit more that we have to add in here. So we're going to do signature. And then you have two options for the name. You can either click name and put it over here, or you can click a text box and type it in if you want to. But since we've got her information in, I'll just click name, select the date. And so I've gotten to the bottom, I've scrolled to the bottom, so I'm going to click send, and then that's when it will send to Betsy Buyer.
Hey, Kim, this
Yep.
is Jennifer Ray. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When you click full name, when you did over to the name, does Betsy fill out her own name there, or will it automatically put her name because she was in the first
It
part?
automatically populates.
Okay, thank you.
And that's whatever you had in the details section. So that's why you want to make sure your details are complete, because whatever is in details is what's going to auto-populate into her name. And so here you can see it.
And then if you did the text part, would then she fill that out?
So the text part you could fill out for her, or you could let her fill it out. It depends on what you want to do and what you prefer. And so we can kind of go back now for the buyer brokerage example, because this has more of, that's just kind of like the basics of how you do it. But if you want to do the buyer brokerage, this is where there's multiple people that need to sign, and this is a little bit more detailed. So I will select a buyer brokerage, and then I'm going to, let me see, hold on just a second. So buyer brokerage, if you want to look at it beforehand, you can kind of preview what the document is. It's going to download the whole document for you. And then this is where you can see the things that are going to pre-populate, Jennifer. Like, so Betsy Buyer, this is how she's in. And then say, for example, if this is incorrect, you want to put Keller Williams. You can put that there. Then this is where you can kind of go through and tab through this. The date is the terms of your contract. This is where you'll put in all this information. And I'm working on figuring out how to create a template for this so that we can already have a lot of the things that we always have selected here. The way that you like to have your like 3%, all these things, I'll show you how you can create a template beforehand. So then when you come down here to the bottom, this is where you're going to want to edit your information and the forms that you want to add to it. You'll select which pamphlets you like, special steps if there's something specific that you want to have in here for your buyer about maybe your marketing or something like that, you can put here. And then this is where your information has already pre-populated. So like say for instance, your license number isn't in there. You can add that in here. You can add in the information you need here. And then, oops, I think I did the wrong one. Yeah, I did. So you can actually cut and paste if you want. And this is where you'll add in your information that will always be there. We can create a template later. So you can save and close. You've added that information in here at your desktop. So we kind of filled that out haphazardly, but here's where we can go back and we can put all these documents together. So you select 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to have them sign all of them. It's going to hop over. This one is going to create another envelope. So then you could put this as buyer brokerage and disclosures. And that way you'll know what you're working with. Then the recipients here, you could either do pre-tagged roles because it's got buyers. I'll show you what that looks like. Buyer 1, buyer 2, if you're wanting to do that, then you can select buyer 1 is going to be Betsy Buyer. And then the buyer's agent is going to be Libby Bramlett. And those are the 2 that you're going to add selected. And you'll want to use pre-tagged roles when you create templates. Kimberly's working on those interactive template forms so that's when you'll want to use those add selected. And then here's where you'll see the recipients in the envelope, and this is the order in which people are going to get the information. So here's number 1. If you want to look at it first and then send it to Betsy Buyer, just change hers to number 2. And then it's going to come to you first. And then also here's where you can put in your own personal information if you like, if you want certain things in the email. Click the next button and it's going to let you preview the documents that you selected, so you still have a chance to fix stuff if you're not happy with it. So when this pops up, it's going to be the buyer brokerage agreement. And then over here is who you're looking, this is who you're working with. So I'm going to be working as Libby, and then I can also work as Betsy Buyer. So one is, they're different colors, which helps. So I start off as Libby because this is where as Libby we can create or fill in whatever information we needed to. If I need to adjust something, I can do that for Libby before it goes to the buyer. So this is a little bit of a workaround on how you can edit things. And like say, for example, I want to put in here that I forgot to put in the 90 days, and that's really big. So I'm going to make it smaller, pull it over, double click, and just type in 90. I can also add it over here if I want to type it over there. Then I just scroll down and like say, oh, I need to make sure my name is over here. So that'll put in Libby Bramlett's name. Forgot that part. Then I'll scroll down.
Do we have to do that in the bottom of the page for every single one, or will we automatically have those auto-populate like we did in Dotloop?
So when Kimberly creates the interactive ones from Keller Williams, that's all going to auto-populate, and that's where you'll be able to create your templates like you did in Dotloop before.
Okay.
And I'll show you an example after we go through this the manual way on how I've created a template that you can do a workaround for now if you want to. I just didn't know how detailed you guys wanted to go today.
Thanks, Kim.
Sure. All right. So here we've got, it's already put in the buyer's signature and it's already got the date, but I'm still working as Libby over here. So I just come in and I just want to make sure, oh, wait, I forgot the brokerage firm. So I can come over here and kind of put in the text and add in, the stuff that I forgot to put in. And this is my preview here. So this also moves down. This is where I could go back and say, oh, I forgot that Betsy Buyer is going to have to sign this one. And then the wire fraud. Put her name in.
Do the boxes for the signature have to be bigger, or do they automatically fill depending on the size of the name?
So what I have found, like, for example, up here, like say, for example, this is just, it covers things up and you can't see it. So I like to take it and then make it smaller. And then it will fill in the font size. The formatting is over here. So you can kind of adjust the formatting. So that's like at 70%. So you can kind of format that. When you make the box smaller, it will make the signature fill in and not cover up your information that you're trying to make sure is showing.
But the signature will get longer if it needs to without you having to stretch it.
Right, correct. The signature does for, yes. The text box you have to kind of adjust if you want to.
Right.
Hey, this is George Crum. I got a question. Since you're working on the same form, why do you have to go between Betsy Buyer and the other name you had up there?
Okay, so so if I want to be able to create some editing, if I want to be able to fill in information that was forgotten, like say, for example, I forgot the brokerage firm license number over here, I want to do that as Libby Bramlett, as the agent, because that way I don't have to go back and start completely over with this document because I forgot the full name here. Let's say I forgot to click a box over here and you don't realize it until you're already in your envelope, because otherwise you have to go back and start all over. So instead of going back and starting all over, I can come over here and I can go, oh, wait, I need to make sure that that says, you know, I'll fill that in when I sign it. This is where I look for mistakes. This is where I can still salvage all the work I did on the document before, otherwise I have to start all over again. So this is just saving me time. And ultimately, when we have our templates back up and running, we'll be fine.
When we get these templates, that's going to be the $6 million where we don't have to keep recreating the wheel every time, correct?
Yes, and I actually kind of have a workaround for that while we're waiting that I can show you after this is done.
Which I've been doing, but if all those text boxes are already put in there by Kimberly, what a savings we're going to have.
Absolutely, especially for your property disclosure. That's the big one.
Yeah, God, with those check boxes. Okay.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question, like why we're toggling back and forth. So Betsy Buyer is the person that's going to have to sign here. And so I'm going to move Betsy Buyer up here, kind of edit it down a little bit, the date, but I forgot to put her, address in here. So like you asked earlier, is this where, if I put it in blue, then she's going to have to fill it in, Jennifer. But if I go in here and I put it in as Libby Bramlett, then I can go in and I can add in the address. So it's whoever you want to have control of the document at that point. And then here's, once all your information is in, you can do a preview and just preview it. This is kind of where you can see what it's going to be like for Betsy Buyer or even for yourself. Right now we're viewing it as Libby Bramlett. So this is where I'm going to view it as myself. And then you click start. And it's going to show me that, yep, that was 90. That's correct. I needed to fill that in. Yes, that was required. I need to fill it in. And then I can go ahead and sign it. And that's what it's going to look like. The signature is going to look like if you're looking for the size. But if I want to see what it's going to look like for my buyer before they get it, this is going to take me through everything that my buyer is going to see. It's going to take her, all she's going to have to do is click the next button. So she would sign here and it will take her to the next, and see how this one takes her to the affiliated marketing and the wire fraud, because I don't have, Libby doesn't sign that, but she has to. So this takes you all the way through to make sure that all the pieces are in place, and her name is here and the date and time are here as well. So then you X out of that, everything looks good, and then you can click send. And it's going to send it to you first, to the agent first, and then it's going to send it to your buyer after you have signed it. So I'm going to look at it now because I want to make sure while this is happening, you're also getting it in whatever email address that you have connected to your DocuSign. And see, here's where you're going to want to know the reason why you put those envelopes, why you labeled it, because here I can tell this is the buyer brokerage and the disclosure. This is just the wire and affiliated. So I'll click on this one because it needs my signature. I click on sign. It's going to open up the things that Libby needs to sign. Click continue, start, and then this is where you just keep clicking. Gives you her signature. And then it will tell you when you're finished, you've hit all the parts that you need. Then you click finish. And at this point, it's now going to send it to Betsy Buyer. And at the same time, you're getting an email saying you have already signed it and we're waiting for others to sign. And if you want to come into DocuSign, you can also check your history in DocuSign as well. So this is going to show you who's already signed and at what time they signed it. And then if you want full envelope history, you click on that. You can tell like when you started working on it, what time you sent it, what time it was received, then you signed it. So it gives you all that detailed information. And then once everyone has signed it, it will give you a printout in your envelope showing that everybody has signed it. Any questions?
Kimberly,
Yes, I have a question. So once the envelope is signed, do you manually drag it over to your computer, then back into Command?
Okay, so I'll show you an example of once everything has signed. Let's see. I didn't use a real email address. So let's say when you come back here to the Rawls, this is back, you're back into your 123 Main Street, Betsy Buyer. So you're gonna go ahead and add that file. So we need to go get the affiliated marketing disclosure. So I can go add that file and I can choose DocuSign here, or you can manually download it. So you can choose to do it either way. So if I select DocuSign, it's gonna take me back to DocuSign. And then it's going to take me, this is where the signed version would be. And you can select your folders or search for files. But this is where that buyer brokerage or the affiliated marketing, this is when, and here it will say signed. It will say affiliated marketing East Cobb, and then it will say signed. So you select that and then assign it. And then that has pulled up into Command. Or if you want to, you can also do you can download it from here. You can view the document and then you can download it.
But going back to the, when you went manually to DocuSign into Command, you had the wire fraud and affiliated in one envelope.
Right.
So when
you have to break it out. I usually download it and then I download it to my desktop and then I just upload the pieces that I want because it all goes in these 3 pieces go in one document. So what I will do is just save it as a PDF as the buyer brokerage and then upload it here. That is one thing that makes it a little bit more challenging if you just add the file directly from DocuSign versus from your desktop.
In DocuSign, you can actually split the PDF right there.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that toolbar where you can edit or copy whatever the different toolbars were.
So right here in the buyer brokerage,
More
view document.
in the document.
Oh, okay. See here, you can download just the one. Yeah, like if it was actually signed, you can download this.
Yes, you can do that. But also when you're just in documents.
That's cool. We didn't have that in Dotloop. You could not just download one document.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Here you can just download one document.
So
when you're here, if you select one of your PDFs, up at the top is one of them is split, I think. Maybe it's not there.
Well, I'll go to, let me show you one,
somewhere.
a real one. Let me show you a real one. It's kind of hard working in a virtual world.
Kim, I have a question though. So
Sure.
Originally, when you had your affiliated and your wire frauds, and you showed us how to fill it in, and then you had that in a because you were saying that you were showing us the simple documents first. You had that filled in, you dragged over, filled in the signature space and the date, and then you put it in an envelope, right? But then when you combined all 3, this last time, when you went in, you had to re-put that in there.
I did, because it's a whole, because that is because it was a whole new
Envelope?
envelope.
Okay.
That's when you have to
Gotcha.
go things and start things over. That's,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's the drawback. And that's why, like with the templates and things, that's what's going to save you so much time, because that's already going to be put into place.
Okay. And then the other thing to Liz was, yes, you can download a separate document in Dotloop, but that's just so you know. You don't
Okay.
have to download them all the same. Anyway, thanks.
Okay. Mhm. All right, so back to Betsy Buyer. Documents, if you need to go back to your Dotloop, you can go back to the transaction. And then this is kind of where I will show you kind of the workaround until we get the templates that we're looking for. So here's your, this is kind of where you can work with your buyer brokerage agreement. So you can kind of go in here. Go ahead.
Excuse me, it's Christine Magnetti. Quick question.
Mhm.
So you had 2 envelopes and you had the same documents in the 2 different envelopes, and you made changes in the 2 different envelopes. In that case, I think you have a copy of the document in one envelope and a different version of it in another envelope. And then when you go to documents, I don't think I have 3 versions of the document, but do I have 2, one in each of those different envelopes?
Okay, I'll show you what it's going to look like when you actually get something back in an email once it's all been signed, because Betsy Buyer is really not, you know, I can't get her to send back. We'll use
Right.
our
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. Thanks.
Didn't know my phone would ring. That's crazy. Okay, so if you go in here, we have a buyer. And when we've sent the buyer brokerage to them in envelopes, you will see that it's been completed. So this is the wire fraud and affiliated marketing. And this is why I like to label it, because here it's signed, but I don't know what kind of document it is. So Christine, when you go back to documents, the ones that you created here will be signed. It will be in green. So this is where you know you have all of the things that you need that were signed. The green ones are the ones that are complete. So you've got your affiliated marketing, you've got your wire fraud that's complete, and then you also have your buyer brokerage that's complete. So this is going to be the place where you would have all of these together. And this also could be where you could add from command if you just wanted to do each one individually. You would select each one from the document tab.
My question really is there a different version of the document in each of those 2 envelopes? Because you modified different fields on them in each of the 2 envelopes.
Yes, it's the same. So for example, if Betsy Buyer had opened up that first envelope that I sent with the wire fraud and the affiliated, in the second envelope, she would get the same document again. So yes, they would actually be 2 different documents. So that's why you want to keep your envelopes organized so that you know what you're sending. So like if you're someone who likes to send it, if you like to send all 3 of those documents all at one time, then put it into one envelope instead of multiple envelopes, because those 2 envelopes right here are actually 2 different versions of the same document. This one is the wire fraud and affiliated, and then this one is the buyer brokerage with the wire fraud and affiliated. So depending on which one she opens would be the one that you get back, but it will tell you, and then you can void this one. Like say, for example, you sent this and you said you don't want her to sign that one. You can void it. And then that way she won't be able to sign it.
So basically what you're saying is the documents are all the same. An envelope is basically just sending it for signature.
Correct. Yes, correct. Because the documents here on the dashboard are the same documents. You only have 1, 2, 3 documents. So when she signs from the envelope, if she signs the first one, in your document page, these 2 will be signed, but this one will still be missing until she opens up the second envelope and signs the buyer brokerage in there.
So question for you.
Mm-hmm.
let's say we're in a counter offer. We present the purchase and sale agreement, they sign it, we go back, we need to make changes, and we send it in a new envelope. Does that original disappear?
No.
Or do we void it? Do we delete it?
It will be here. It will be on your documents tab. It will be sitting here on your document tab. And then what you will need to do is, depending on how you do it, if you do a completely new one, you would download, you would add the new one. Or if the other agent sent it to you and you have it in your email, you would just add it from your computer. And then it would be added here. The revised or the counter would be here. And then you would take that counter and you would then put it into an envelope and send it off for signature.
So the buyer will know which is the latest one based on which is the most recent envelope sent.
Correct.
The latest version. Okay.
Yep. So like if this was a contract and they sent us a counter, we would upload the counter into here, and then we would open up the counter that they sent us, and then we would put in the signatures or even make any edits to that counter. If you were going to strike through something, you could do that here. And then after you make your edits, you would select it in the top left, and then you would go over here and hit DocuSign, and that's where they would sign and make adjustments. So any other questions about just basically selecting, filling in for signatures, and then sending off? So to kind of create a template for yourself, if you're really, for example, if you want to do your buyer brokerage or your listing agreements, you can fill in everything right here that you want to have, and then you can create a template that you can use for all your buyer brokerages moving forward. The way that I did it is I just created it, saved it to my desktop, and so when I'm ready to add in, I add from my desktop the ones that are pre-filled, and I've labeled it as, let me see where they are, pre-filled. So here's the pre-filled exclusive buyer brokerage. And if I open that one up, you will see that I've basically filled it the way that Libby likes it to be filled. I will have to add in who the buyer is, and I will have to add in the date, and then the terms of that, which I can do, but all these other things are already checked. The independent contractor, sub-agency, the percentages, all the things that she likes to have in her standard buyer brokerage is already filled in. And then when I get to the very bottom, the forms that she likes to include are already selected here, so I don't have to worry about those. And then all of her information is all exactly the way it should be, and all I have to do is add in her signature. So that is the pre-filled, and the way you handle the pre-filled is you just select it. You're going to go to DocuSign for the pre-filled. This is where I put buyer brokerage, so I know which one it is. And then I'm going to add the recipients, which would be the room participants, which would be Libby and Betsy Buyer. I want Libby to see it first and the buyer to see it second. Click the next button.
So you don't have the capability to sign it like we did in Dotloop. We can't sign. We have to send it to ourselves to sign.
I'll show you it. Yeah, you can do it.
I think you do, guys.
Yeah, you
Okay.
do. You can do it. It's just you have to go back to the envelope to click on it. It's not like something you can do while you're in the document.
Okay.
So
Kim,
here's where,
Kim, when you went to send it, when you clicked send, I thought I saw a little pop-up box that said sign now.
yes, it did. So the sign now pop-up box comes up, and then when that sign now goes, it'll automatically take you to the envelope where it says waiting for your signature. So you
Okay.
don't have to go through your email address. As long as you're still in DocuSign, it will take you back to the envelope and you will sign it first.
Okay. And then isn't there an opportunity for isn't there a place where you could do my documents and you could do those pre-fills in your my documents versus your desktop?
Yes, you can also do that. The only thing is I was practicing with the templates because that was one of the things, the templates weren't showing up when you have to switch back, but here's your My Docs. And this is where you can go ahead and list in here, like you can create folders. We have a listing folder. So this is all the documents that if you want to send for all your listing appointments, you would put it in here.
Kim, can you go back to where you got this? So where you're keeping this? I missed that part.
Sure, no problem. So here you're back in your rooms, dashboard rooms, inbox. So you click on My Docs, and then you've created a folder in My Docs, and in there we've got the ABC8. These are all the things that we really don't have to sign, but we can send. But if you want to create the pre-filled out templates, this is where you can come in and create your listing. This one we're still working on, but the lead-based paint. So you can add whatever documents you want here. And then ultimately when we have those really pretty templates, you're going to switch to ESignatures, and this is where you're going to have your templates that you can use that are going to be probably the best place for you to put them is under templates. And notice this is in the e-signature side, so this is not in the room side. So you have to take the ones that you already have filled out, and then you tell it where you want to share it to. That's where you will send it to your room.
Where did you fill them out?
So here you would create a template. This is past the basics, so here you would create a template, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to
Your audio is down.
Kim, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. So here's where you would say, let me find one. So you upload the document from wherever you get it, whether you get it from KW, you open it up, go to next. This is where you can create, this is what you'll call it. You'll just name it your, I'm just going to call it test so I can. And then this is where you're going to go through and pre-fill it, and then you'll save it so that you can use it for later.
And is this what Kimberly is doing for us with the logo? So we shouldn't do this right now?
I would wait until she does the pre-filled, especially for the seller's property disclosure, because that one's the one where she's gonna hopefully or somehow will be able to have all those little boxes checked so that when you send that, it will be a live interactive document that you can send to your client so that they can fill out the seller's property disclosure.
That and the community association is going to be very, very, very time intensive to set up a template.
Yes.
It's not worth it. Go ahead and wait for Kimberly's, right?
Right. Yes, I would wait until she's done that one, just for ease. But if you have like the listing or the buyer brokerage, even your contracts, if certain things are pretty basic in your contracts that you always have a certain way, that I would go ahead and do that, because I feel like that would save you some time. So you don't miss that one, you know.
Like your special stip page and things like that.
Like your 8B2, you make sure you put a 0 in there and that doesn't get left undone. Any other questions?
So can we have, some of us have templates in Dotloop already?
Yes.
Can we take those templates and just save them here?
So the way that I would do that is I would download, well, first of all, if you've already got templates for the 2020 version, yes, go ahead and download them onto your desktop and then upload them either into your My Docs or into your templates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, what you're asking, Angela, is yes, but you still have those boxes on like a seller's disclosure. You got to get somebody to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but at least for the BBA and for the sales contract, everything
Yeah.
is already pre-filled and I don't
Yep.
have to start from ground zero every time.
You're
Correct. That's like this one right here. And I would label it, just so you know, label it on your desktop as the pre-filled. And then when you go in here, the only thing that comes into play is if there's something that you've pre-filled that you might want to change, you'll have to create a text box over it. But like all the blank areas, you'll just go in and you can go ahead and edit when you're in the DocuSign area. So you click the document that's pre-filled, you click DocuSign, and then you can go to these steps where you're sending it to yourself first. Then you click next and it's going to pull you up. And this is where you can actually do the editing of anything that you've already pre-filled that you've downloaded from Dotloop if you want to. This is where you can kind of go in, and you want to make sure you do it as yourself, as the agent. And let's say, for example, that you don't want to do 90 days here. Say you only want to do, or you want to do 30 days, you can just take this and cover it. And then edit that way. So, but you have to, yeah, make sure you cover it up. And then this is where you'll have to put in like text boxes where you want to put information. But everything else is already pre-filled out here. So that makes that part easier, especially down here at the bottom where you have things that you already select. But like say, for example, you want to put some special steps in here, you can just go ahead and put a big, and then just type what you need there. And then all of this here, you would just put your signature here. And then you can send it and it will send off to you first. Here's where it's going to send it to you first. Sign now. And then it's going to take you back to the envelope where you're going to sign now. So here's the one that we just did. Sign now, and then it's going to ask you to sign. So this is a little more steps than regular Dotloop because you could sign it right there in Dotloop, but this you have to kind of go through. And here, these things are going to be required. So this is where you could have either pre-filled it in or you can fill it in now. Like say, for example, if something changes. So this is where if you click start, it's going to make you go here first, the next, and then just keep going until you get to the bottom. And it won't let you finish until you filled in all of the boxes. It'll take you back to the top.
Hey, Kimberly, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
How do I get to get into DocuSign without attaching a buyer to it? If I want to start setting up some templates can I get in there without attaching a buyer?
Yes, you can.
From command.
From command. Okay, so if you're in command and you don't want to, if you're just trying to go in, you can actually log into DocuSign, whatever your regular DocuSign login is, and this is going to take you actually to the ESign page versus the room page. So when you go in and you type in DocuSign.com, it's going to take you to whatever your regular login is. And this is kind of where you can create your templates if you're wanting to kind of set some things up. So here you can create templates where you can add in the new templates that you want, the wire fraud, anything here that you want to, or folders that you want to set up, you can do that. Then if you want to go to your rooms, come over and click on your name or your picture and then switch to rooms. And then this will take you back to the rooms that's actually linked through command. So here are the rooms that you have. these are all the ones within command. So this is where you can kind of play around either in current or previous rooms. And then
Hey,
you can
Kim,
yep.
they sent us, Kimberly sent us a YouTube. It was an email that had a bunch of YouTube
Yep.
links on it, guys. That had us set up templates on a YouTube video. If you want to just go, find that email and go to all mail, put in Kimberly, and you could find those YouTube videos.
Actually, Liz, I looked at those. Those are actually really good. I'll tell you when she sent them because I've actually saved them just because.
Those are good. I use those too.
Yeah, they're really good.
Because if it's not for the templates, guys, I mean, the templates are what's going to save ourselves so much time, so much energy. That's why I resisted this for so long, because I had my templates down to a science on Dotloop. So that's the whole 6 million.
I think because at first we weren't sure if we were doing RDocs, DocuSign, or Dotloop. And so that's why I created the documents and put them on my desktop, just because, or you can put them in, you can put them in Dropbox or something like that if there's other people that need to access it. But I just thought that that was better just for access, because I didn't know which signing mechanism we were going to use that day. So I just made sure I had it on my desktop. But that's how you can kind of go back and forth between the rooms and the e-signature. So you can log in just through DocuSign.com, your regular login, and then flip back and forth between rooms and the templates.
Any idea when these templates are going to come from Kimberly?
So I talked to Kimberly this morning and she's working on those. The original email that she sent was on Tuesday, March 24th, that had all of the YouTube videos, and the title was How to Use DocuSign. And she said that before Dotloop expires, she's going to have that set up and running, which I think is June. Is that right? June 9th?
June, yes, June.
So by June 9th, this will, but you can kind of start playing now if you want to, and then kind of organizing your templates.
Kim, in Dotloop, we had clause option to save some clauses. Do we have something like this here?
Yes.
That's when what Michelle Byers put all those, you could switch on something and all those special steps would start popping up and things?
Yes.
Yes.
When you go to when you go into your room, I think the clauses are under it's under the GAR, or actually, I'm not sure, that might be a Kimberly question.
I don't think they will populate like it did in DocuSign. So what I would do is just maybe have a Word PDF saved, not a PDF, but a Word document saved to your computer to where you can copy and paste.
Yeah. This is where it would be, that, where it could be created and maybe put in under the DocuSign Forms group where you could share it, because it's not a Georgia Realtor, but it could be something like that could be copied and pasted from the office.
Hey, Kim, this is Shelly. So I created templates and put, like you have in 2 rooms, buyers folder and seller folder.
Okay.
I cannot figure out if I have 123 Main Street and I'm on their dashboard, how do you add to that specific, let's say, loop, the buyer's templates that is already pre-done, that I already worked on?
Okay, so you go to your folder.
Right.
And then you select, And then, hold on, let me see.
Well,
So
I don't want to, I just want to do the same thing what I've done with Dotloop, where we had all those templates ready to roll, and all I have to do is set it and it will move, because I don't remember all the you know what I mean?
yes. So that's why I really like having, like, so I know I know it's here where you can access it, or it's over in your templates, but I can't share my files. For whatever reason, you can't see the way that I have my folders set up on my computer. But let's say, for example, on my desktop, I have a file folder that has my pre-filled buyer brokerage, my pre-fill, all the pre-fills that you want to do. I just go in there and click all of those and upload it into the room under documents.
Show me again how you did that. So,
well, I don't know if you can see, my folders that, but let's say, for example, if I'm here in the room and I go, this is a new one, let's pretend this is new, and I want to upload the documents. I have them on my computer instead of in the My Docs. I just have them on my computer. So I click add, and then I click computer, and on my computer, I have a file folder that says buyer folder, you know, like it's our buyer. So I upload all of these from that one folder.
And if
I have a template, Shell. So the question you're asking is, you'll have a folder on there that you don't have to go and get it off your hard, basically your laptop.
You're right. What I wanted to do, I wanted to go from this screen to the DocuSign template and upload.
You can't. You have to go to your, well, wait a minute.
Let me see. If you switch to ESignatures and then you go into a template, you can then assign it to a room, but you have to remember what room you want to send it to.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, so you go to the template that you're wanting to send, and then you select it, and you say over here you're going to use it, and you want to use, and then you tell it where you want it to go.
But you have to fill in this first, the add recipient, or no?
I didn't think you had to do that. I thought you.
Shelley, if you look at that that YouTube video, it'll explain that one too.
It does? Okay, which
Yeah.
one? Which YouTube?
Creating DocuSign templates.
March 27th or
March 24th, 2:58 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. And what I like is that they're actually specific to Keller Williams, which makes it a little bit easier, more user-friendly. So any other questions? What about things that you would like? I love the template idea. Other things that make it work smoother for you. What other things would you want to see?
You obviously know what you're doing, Kim, which is great. Right? And I do want to say happy birthday. Thank you for being here on your birthday. So we appreciate
Yes, happy birthday.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I think what I've noticed is I've been through this session now twice, and I still feel a little lost. So
what part is it that you feel lost about?
I think it's just, there's so many places to go back and forth and back and forth. And that's my biggest challenge is I just got to work in it. So, and get comfortable with it and realize it's not Dotloop, and I just need to let go of that and just.
You have to mourn the loss of Dotloop. I understand.
Yeah.
But I think working left or right had helped me, like work from details to documents. And, if you kind of work that way, then you're not going to miss too many things. It makes it a little bit easier if you work from left to right. And now things are linked a little bit better. So once you click around in it, it's getting easier. I understand, because I loved Dotloop as well. So
the first time you do it, it's going to be a huge pain, but after you do one transaction, you'll have it down.
I've been playing with it, and I've only done the buyer documents so far. And then once I was able to sync it in Command and just upload them directly through, that was super easy. And I loved that. I would love a class next on how to do an actual, purchase and sale and all of the stuff that goes along with that. So maybe, because I haven't had to do that yet. So I think when I do that, I'm going to freak out.
Yeah, I
think when we get the templates done, if you guys need help, I would love to jump back on, because that was the only way that, honestly, that I was able to, I was one kicking and screaming. The minute they said Dotloop was gone, I called Dotloop and like extended the year. I was like, oh, hell no. But now that we're all stuck home, it's a perfect time to do this. And once you get those templates done, it makes everything so easy.
Yeah, the templates are key.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I think, yeah, somebody said, I never thought we'd heard the loss of Dotloop. That is true. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, Kim. Thanks everybody for being here.
Have a great
Trust
day.
the process. See you later.
Have a good day.